Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Liam's Hockey. Who knew? 3 days in a row. I don't know how long these will continue. Mind you, I said that yesterday, but I think for the foreseeable future, I'll try and bang them out. I guess we'll see how it goes. Maybe I can do one daily here during the week or something. Not like there's a whole heck of a lot of other things to do. So I hope everyone's staying safe and your families are safe, and we'll have some fun here. And I'm going to add a little segment to this one that you'll hear at the end, and I hope you enjoy it. It's going to involve my good friend, Mr. Jameson's Irish Whiskey. So we'll incorporate that at the end here of a little hockey talk as we revolve around the history of the particular date that we're on, in this case, March 23rd. And we're going to start with Rocket Richard on March 23rd, 1944. Had his first 5-goal game in the NHL. It came in the playoffs against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Sorry, Tracy. And it was game 2 of the first round, and the Leafs won game 1 in Montreal. So this was game 2, kind of a must-win, as you would expect, and the Habs delivered. The Rocket delivered. Habs won 5-1. Rocket got 5 goals. Toe Blake got all 5 assists, and Montreal went on to win the series and beat Chicago in the final 4 straight to win the Stanley Cup. It was the Rockets' first of 8 Stanley Cups, but on this day in 1944, which was a Thursday, he scored all 5 goals. The other significant thing about that night is, for the first time, and this has happened numerous times since, but there was a huge gap between it happening, Rocket Richard was named all 3 stars of the game. First, second, and third star. So there you go. This second one here is going to require a little bit of a setup. On March 23rd, 1952, arguably the greatest single game statistical moment happened in NHL history, and it was accomplished by a man named Bill Mosienko, who was from Winnipeg, Manitoba, nicknamed Wee Willie, and he only passed away a few years ago, actually. And a couple weeks before this date, as the NHL regular season was winding down, he was looking through the NHL Guide and Record Book, which in those days was called the Hendy Guide, named in so for Jim Hendy, the man who compiled the record book, such as it was at that time. And he was remarking to his teammates that, geez, I'd really love to get my name in there sometime. And 2 weeks later, final game of the regular season, Chicago's playing New York. In New York, both teams are out of the playoffs. So the Rangers start their minor league goaltender, Lorne Anderson. This was his second game of the day. He had already played in New York for their minor league affiliate earlier that day. They start him in the NHL that night against Chicago, and the Rangers have a very comfortable 6-2 lead at one point in the third period, when, as Bill Mosienko says, and this is one of the greatest hockey quotes of all time, "I caught lightning in a bottle." And he scored 3 goals in 21 seconds at the 6:09, 6:20, and 6:30 mark of the third period to make the score 6-5. A man named Sid Finney tied the game at 6 and then got the winner. And the interesting thing about Sid is he was born in the south of Ireland, the same part of the country as my late father, Noel Patrick Maguire, was from. So, well, south anyway. My dad was a Dubliner. Also on that night, Gus Bodner assisted all 3 goals, giving him the fastest 3 assists. The minor league goaltender, did I name him? His name was Lorne Anderson. And he was from Renfrew, Ontario, right up in the heart of the Ottawa Valley, where they just chased the ace there for over $1 million just a couple weeks ago. Lorne was playing in his, I believe, his 3rd game in NHL history and his final game. He never played again. And that was Bill Mosienko's final NHL hat trick that it was his 5th. Not like he got a ton of them, but he never got another one in the NHL. He did obviously go in the record book. He went around the same defenseman for all 3 goals. It was a rookie defenseman on New York named Hy Buller was his name. And the goal judge in that end of the ice was a man named Arthur Reichart. And the attendance, the incredibly low number, is actually not that difficult to remember. You think, oh my God, Liam, how can you know the attendance? Well, it was 3,254. And if you think about it, those numbers do fit if you move them around sequentially. You would have 2, 3, 4, 5. And in this case, 3, 2, 5, 4. So if you remember that they were in order, you just have to remember the correct order, and then you can get the attendance of the night. So this is another little memory trick for you there. So Anyway, an incredible night, lightning in a bottle, an unbelievable quote, and a meaningless game except in the record book where Bill Mosienko ended up. By the way, one other quick little anecdote about Billy. The first game he ever played in the NHL, some 10 years earlier, he scored 2 goals in 21 seconds. So you want to talk about serendipity. I think it existed there for Mr. Bill Mosienko. Moving ahead, really only 2 more to talk about. One quickly here. I want to give a shout out to my friend Ray Ferraro. I think Ray is the greatest color analyst in the game today. I love his work, and between the benches, he is absolutely the bomb. He's the best as far as I'm concerned. And on this day in hockey history and in Ray Ferraro history, he recorded his first ever hat trick in 1985, March 23rd, as he was playing for the Hartford Whalers. I watched Ray play many a time. I saw a lot of Whaler games in Montreal. Plus, they played them in the playoffs a bunch of times back then too, and I was at many of those games, and I saw Ray play before he got traded and moved on with his career. Outstanding scorer in junior. They beat Boston on this night 5-2. Ray got 3 goals. I believe Ronnie Francis assisted a couple of them, and Terry O'Reilly and Scott Kleinerhorst had a pretty good scrap in the first period. Pete Peters was a goalie that Ray scored on. Ray, congratulations. I hope you see this, buddy, and thanks for always having me on any of the podcasts that you've done. I've always enjoyed joining you on those, and I know you picked up a copy of Goldie's book, and I appreciate that as well, and look forward to chatting with you again somewhere down the road when the earth comes up for air here. But Ray Ferraro's first hat trick on March 23rd, 1985. And we finish on this day in hockey history with what else? Wayne Gretzky, March 23rd, 1994. Now, this is pretty much up to modern day. There's many of you that would watch this and probably remember that game against the Vancouver Canucks. Just a couple interesting things about that. Time of the goal, 14:47 of the second period. Nothing really significant about that per se. The goaltender was Kirk McLean of the Vancouver Canucks. LA did go on to lose the game, but Wayne scored. Marty McSorley made an unbelievable pass on the play. If you've ever seen the highlight of it, it's a great pass by Marty to set it up. Interesting thing is, Wayne scored the goal. It was a power play goal. And in the box for Vancouver was a player named Yuri Slager. I'm sure many of you remember him. Yuri Slager's father played in the NHL. His name was Yuri Bubla. And you're going, wait a minute. Not the same last name. I could see that if it was, a mom or something. But no. Why do you have a different name? Well, unfortunately, Yuri Bubla got himself a little trouble with the law back in the day. So Yuri Slager took his mother's maiden name and didn't want to be known as Bubla and went by Slager. So be it. His dad, as mentioned, played in the NHL. And Wayne Gretzky played against the father. And in the first game ever that Wayne Gretzky played against Yuri Bubla, Slager's father, October 9th, 1981, again, Vancouver and Edmonton, Wayne and Bubla traded punches. Now, they didn't get fighting majors. They got roughing minors, but it's in the record book. You could see it. You could look it up. And I always liked that one. I told Wayne that one when we were in Fort Mac a few years back, driving around a limo and did a couple gigs together up there that fabulous weekend. And I think that's kind of a neat little anecdote, given that Slager was in the box for that historic goal. Goal number 802. And will Ovi catch him? Well, not if we continue to lose games for other circumstances besides a potential lockout. So this puts a little bit of a crimp in the plan. If there's no regular season, it's probably going to cost Ovi somewhere between 6 and 8 goals based on the pace he was at right now. And every little bit hurts, right? I mean, there's a great expression about every little bit helps, but not so much in this case. So March 23rd, 94 for Wayne for 802. He ended up with 894, and the chase will continue. God willing, sooner rather than later. But first, obviously, we have to get through some pretty significant health stuff, to say the least. As mentioned, adding a little something today. I'm going to try and do this for the length of time that I continue to roll these out. And this was part of the plan for Steve Warren and myself. And I want to bring you in as the viewer here. This isn't a blog or a podcast. It's just a little fun around thing, 6-8 minutes, and post it up on social media. And I want to toast somebody that was important to you, that's gone before us. Male, female, young or old, that mattered to you. I know my buddy Jim Boone gave me the name Dave Hay. unfortunately, at the time I just came on here shortly after I asked for a few names, and Jimmy didn't provide me any background information. But Jimmy, I will be saluting that. I'm going to get my prop here right now, which is Jameson's Irish Whiskey. Yes. And the one where I did get some information, and this is kind of neat because I actually knew this man. I didn't know him well by any means, but I did go into Mulligan's grocery in North Gore. North Gore is a village south of Ottawa. And if you can picture the city of Ottawa, if you know the city of Ottawa, and you go in a semicircle and you start in the west, the northwest, and move all the way to the southeast, you've got Carp, Stittsville, Richmond, North Gore, you zigzag to Manotick, then you go up to Cars, Osgood, Metcalf. You don't think I missed any, but that's my backyard. That's really my backyard, kind of where I hung my hat when I was running the roads and ripping and tearing yesterday. I'm only serious. But Dave Mulligan owned and ran Mulligan's Grocery in North Gore, and he I didn't know him very well, but he was a prince of a man, and his son sent this in for me to toast him along with Dave Hay, and I am going to gladly do that with a shot of Jameson's right now for Mr. Mulligan, who died in 2014 at the age of 65, far too young. And I can tell you right now that the village of North Gore is pretty passionate about the people who work in and around there. It's largely a farming community, known for a couple of very unique characters, Dale Scholdice and Gordy Pratt being two of the more popular. Guys like Greg Williams. What Jason Moore has done at the Marlborough is second to none, and that man, all he does is give back as well. So to the Mulligan family, for the loss of their patriarch, Dave Mulligan from Mulligan's Grocery in North Gore, 2014, the age of 65, to Dave Hay from my buddy Jim Boone, I salute you, gentlemen. I'll continue to do that as often as I have to. It's my pleasure and my honor to do something like that for anybody that's gone before us. You give me the name. If you can give me a little bit of background, not expecting to know the majority for sure. That was a bonus to get Mr. Mulligan's name there, 100%. And thank you guys for sending that in. That's going to do her for today. Nice, short, sweet. And everybody stay safe. And who knows, maybe I'll bang another one out tomorrow. Might have to pick up a bottle of booze if they're going to close down the LCBO. I'll get some extra. We'll be around. All right? Everybody stay safe. G'day.